At 7 years old, you may still need both hands to lift a full bucket. In medieval England, some children were already moving toward towns in search of work or apprenticeship. Most apprentices were older, but records include young migrants between 7 and 14. Now imagine arriving alone with little more than the clothes already on your body. Behind you is the village you understand. Ahead is a town filled with strangers, animals, smoke, carts, and bells. You are not visiting. You are there because someone believes your hands can already be useful. Your family may have arranged the journey, or poverty may have pushed you onto the road. Some young migrants arrived without a secured master or even a guaranteed place to sleep. Finding a household could mean food, shelter, training, and a possible future. Failing could leave you chasing temporary work in a place where nobody knew your name. And the work did not become smaller because the worker was small. The bucket remained heavy, the river remained cold, and a frightened animal remained stronger than you. The adult giving the order did not always care whether your body was ready. In Norwich in 1274, a domestic servant leaned over a pool to recover a wooden bucket. The cord broke, and the bucket's weight pulled the servant into the water. The record does not preserve the worker's age. It preserves something more important for this story: the danger hidden inside an ordinary chore. So how young could medieval work begin? What happened when a growing body could not keep pace with an adult world? First, forget the easy story that every medieval child lived like a tiny adult. Children played, wandered, climbed, fought, explored, and depended on their families. Medieval miracle accounts describe 135 accidents involving children and adolescents across more than 3 centuries. Only 10 happened while the young person was working. 7 others occurred while children were helping adults with family chores. Those stories are selective because they were written around recoveries people considered miraculous. But they still reveal something important. Medieval people understood that childhood existed. The problem was, that childhood did not protect every child from poverty, orphanhood, or household need. Most formal apprentices began in their early or middle teens, but some children started helping long before they entered a formal craft. At first, the work could look harmless from a distance. A child might carry water, gather fuel, watch animals, sweep floors, or follow adults into fields. None of those tasks sounds like something that would break a body, but every simple task contained a physical demand. Water required lifting, fuel required carrying, animals required control, and floors required repeated scrubbing. The next morning, the same growing body had to perform the same movements again. Picture a child walking back from a well with a full wooden bucket. The handle bites into the fingers while the weight drags one shoulder downward. The path is muddy, and spilling the water means making the entire journey again. Now picture wet linen being pulled from a river. The cloth becomes much heavier as it fills with water. Your hands are already numb, but the linen must still be beaten, twisted, lifted, and carried home. Nothing dramatic has happened yet. That is exactly why nobody records the day. Most exhausting work disappears from history because the worker survived it. In 1398, London officials tried to stop young workers from scouring caps beside the Thames. The order mentioned fights, but it also condemned work during storms, frost, and snow. Picture that riverbank. Your hands are wet, the wind cuts across the water, and the cloth still has to be cleaned. There are no waterproof gloves and no warm room waiting beside the river. The authorities recognized the danger. What they did not remove was the need for young people to work. For rural children, the first duties might begin beside animals or inside the fields. A small child could watch birds, gather sticks, carry food, or help guide livestock. Then the task changed faster than the body did. A calf became a cow, a small bundle became a full load, and a wooden tool became a blade. An animal only had to panic once. Skeletal evidence shows fractures appearing among some rural boys from around 10 years old. A broken bone cannot tell us exactly what caused it. It might have come from work, play, violence, or an accidental fall. But the timing fits when some boys may have faced larger animals and heavier equipment. The city created a different kind of danger. Instead of one enormous threat, it surrounded a child with dozens of smaller ones. A child might squeeze through a workshop while adults swung hammers only an arm's length away. Another might climb steep stairs while carrying water into a smoke-filled kitchen. A cart could block a narrow street while builders moved heavy timber above the crowd. Near the river, wet stones could turn one ordinary step into a serious fall. None of these dangers looked extraordinary before someone was hurt. And then there was the master. Formal apprenticeship promised training, food, shelter, and a route into adult work. It also placed the young person inside the master's household and under the master's authority. The contract could control marriage, drinking, gambling, spending, movement, and behavior. Running away could punish the sponsor and destroy the apprentice's chance of entering the craft. The person who fed you could also discipline you. The person who promised training could keep you performing dirty, repetitive work instead. Even a fair master controlled where you lived, what you learned, and when you could leave. A cruel master controlled the same things without giving you the future you were promised. In 1317, two male apprentices took their master and his wife to court. They said the master rarely appeared to train them. They also said his wife beat them severely. One apprentice had lost an eye, and a medical examination supported the complaint. That case does not prove every apprenticeship was abusive. It proves that training, dependence, punishment, and violence could exist inside the same home. Another young worker tried making a pillow with feathers and parsley taken from a goose. His master beat him for it. The court decided the boy was too young to deserve that punishment. The master spent 8 days inside Newgate prison. The protection was real, but it arrived only after the beating had already happened. One miracle account places an adolescent girl inside a sandpit while she was working. Without warning, one unsupported wall collapsed. The falling sand buried her. Her co-workers dug until they reached her, swollen and barely breathing. The chronicler probably exaggerated the amount of sand to make her survival sound miraculous. The unsupported wall and the young worker beneath it required no exaggeration, and surviving the collapse did not change the larger system. If the work continued, another young body could be sent into the same pit. That is what makes medieval labor difficult to see clearly. The dramatic accidents entered courts, chronicles, and miracle stories. The ordinary strain of lifting, kneeling, bending, carrying, and breathing smoke usually left no written record, but sometimes it left another kind of record. Archaeologist Mary Lewis assembled information from 4,940 young people buried at 151 English sites. The remains ranged from roughly 7 to 25 years old. Most were medieval, although the collection extended into the early Tudor period. Lewis compared bodies buried in towns with bodies buried in rural communities. The study cannot tell us exactly which job any single person performed. That is the only warning you need before the larger pattern becomes clear. Urban adolescents showed more disease in their spines and joints than their rural counterparts. Their injuries also appeared across more parts of the body. You do not need the medical names to understand what that means. Some young urban spines carried marks associated with force, repeated bending, and strenuous movement. Those marks appeared among children roughly 10 to 13 years old in towns. In rural burials, similar marks appeared later, among young people around 14 to 16. Another lower back stress injury showed an even stronger urban pattern. 36 of 43 recorded cases came from town burials. Some of the earliest examples appeared in children younger than 10. That does not prove labor caused every mark. It does show that serious physical stress reached some bodies long before adulthood. The damage also changed depending on who you were and where you lived. Urban girls showed more strain in their spines and lower legs. That pattern fits repeated kneeling, lifting, washing, cleaning, and carrying during domestic service. Urban boys showed more injuries to their arms, ankles, and skulls. Those injuries could reflect tools, construction, falls, fights, street accidents, or several causes together. Rural danger looked larger because it involved animals, carts, blades, and open fields. Urban danger could be harder to see because it surrounded the worker throughout the day. The town also brought bodies closer together. A young migrant entered crowded housing, smoke, waste, unfamiliar diseases, and strangers from distant regions. In the skeletal study, tuberculosis appeared earlier among urban adolescents than among rural groups. Young urban women also carried a particularly heavy burden of respiratory and infectious disease. No single workshop, master, or street explains all of that. The point is that opportunity and danger often occupied the same crowded space. A town could offer food, shelter, training, wages for some, and escape from an insecure household. The same town could expose a child to violence, disease, heavy work, and constant adult control. That is the central paradox. Work might keep a child alive while also wearing down the body performing it. So were all medieval 7-year-olds doing labor that would break a modern adult? No. Most formal apprentices were older. Many children spent much of their time playing, helping their families, and growing up in familiar ways. But some crossed into work astonishingly early, and once they crossed that line, the world around them did not resize itself. The bucket was not made lighter, and the river was not made warmer. The animal was not made calmer, and the tool was not shortened. The master did not lose authority simply because the worker was afraid. Open a tap today and the labor behind water disappears. You turn a handle and the weight, the walk, the cold, and the danger are gone. In medieval England, water could mean a rope cutting into young hands. It could mean a full bucket pulling a small body toward the edge. Written records preserve the instant when the cord broke. The bones preserve all the working days when it did not.